Alright, so I'm here to talk to you about how the cloud is changing basically the world, and in my opinion. So moving on, my favorite thing in the world is when that project that's due at midnight just disappears from my computer as it shuts down, and everything that I hadn't saved is completely lost, and I no longer can access it. I'm like this guy where I get real upset, I start tearing things apart, and it gets me really frustrated. Um, so kind of looking into how I understand, how I used to understand computers. You know, I never understood why Google Drive would save my work. Microsoft Word didn't, and there's something to be said for the difference in these programs. You know, the cloud is an amazing thing. Clouds are everywhere, and sooner or later, the skies are going to be overcast with them. Cloud computing is expanding rapidly and is replacing a standard PC-based drive while opening up the ability to compute and write code and share it with people all across the world. Um, my main point today will be focused on the cloud and how it connects every single aspect of Block 1 together, whether it's computers and hardware, the Internet of Things, or code and sharing of open source. Everything runs and can be connected through cloud. My main talking point is expanding on the idea that the cloud, of the cloud, and how it connects so much more than the personal lives of individuals. Via computers, whatever it is, basically it's creating efficiency, and it's innovating things, which is creating opportunities, and provides flexibility, accessibility. Everything it's so much easier to operate from a cloud. For example, my neighbor Keith in Colorado, he uses iPads to control everything in his home. Whether it's the lighting, the heat of the shower, or just temperature and climate control in his house, all that data, or all of that, all those things can be connected to these iPads and controlled from the iPad, and then the iPad receives data from sensors throughout the home. The company that helped him do this is Nexia, and what they did was they basically streamlined his whole life into one cloud that's specifically built for him. That cloud data, he can sign in with Hulu, Netflix, whatever. That cloud data is up on in his home for him to access from any of those iPads. And Nexia is a private company, well, not private, but not as Oracle, for example, is a corporate industry or is kind of targeting the corporate industry. And this is a private enterprise that Keith has, and the private enterprise opportunity that Oracle provides to corporate enterprises. But Keith is just a private example of this. Moving on to Anheuser-Busch of St. Louis. Anheuser-Busch brews 340 31-gallon barrels of beer per year, over 2 billion gallons of beer. And every bit of brewed beer never deviates from the standard. Using the Internet of Things and an infrastructure as a service cloud computing system, Anheuser-Busch can brew all of those 340 million barrels the same way every time, and they can brew them all from St. Louis regardless of where the fermenting tanks are. For example, using sensors, they can track the acidity or the basicness of a brew tank in Fort Collins, Colorado, and that the Fort Collins data is fed into Anheuser, and Anheuser can make a change or alert a brewmaster of something that needs to be moved. Another example would be Embraer of Brazil. Embraer makes the E170 and 190s, and they operate under, all these aircraft operate under different airlines all across the world, whether it's SkyWest or Republic or City Hopper. There's all these different companies that own these jets. So collaborating with engine data and onboard computer systems is really hard to do. Embraer monitors the engine, all data on board the aircraft, but mostly the engine because the sensibility of it. For example, if our engine pressure ratio, the THR on the right side there, throttle percentage, gets too high, there could be damage. So if it gets too high, the aircraft alerts the headquarters in Brazil via ACARS, Aircraft Crew Automated Reporting System. ACARS then return a message saying, this is what's going on. we advise you deviate, or you can continue, and we'll continue to monitor the situation, whatever the message may be. But that being said, while all that's going on, somebody in Brazil is processing a work order and uploading it through Oracle to a cloud network where SkyWest maintenance facilities can then open up that work order, see what's going on, and be ready to operate on that aircraft when it comes down, so that they can turn it around real quickly and get it going. For United Express, for example, this is a SkyWest aircraft. Has all these data sensors on board their aircraft. They they change the code and the software on board their airplanes to fit their company's needs. The Internet of Things, open source software, computer hard drives on board the aircraft, all go to the cloud. Amazing how these things can all be connected just from one aircraft that's cruising through the sky at 38,000 feet and 400 plus knots. Cloud computing is a personal thing where you can upload photos from your bike ride or your beach day that day, move files around, kind of like I'm doing here for school. But overall, cloud computing is basically just the Internet of Things becoming more available. The Internet of Things is monitoring where a bike might be, where a shuttle might be, how much electricity is being used, setting timers remotely, turning irons off, whatever, running factory machines, watering plants at certain times. Monitoring these things can be done through the cloud via computers and tons of different types of software that is being created. And we don't have to operate just through Apple and Microsoft. For example, today I use Google. Google Drive. I can upload something to Google Drive and access it anywhere in the world. And Google writes more code than anybody else out there, is what people are starting to say. It's amazing what things can do with the cloud. And cloud technology is skyrocketing as the #1 way to communicate. A PC can communicate to some object via the cloud, all using some form of software, whether open or for sale and closed. But the amount of interconnectedness really is changing the world and globalizing us so much more quickly. Cloud computing is one of those things that everybody's going to have to accept because it's a new fad.